Daf Kuf Nun Aleph, 551 in the English Mishnah Berurah for all those who want to look into it. We are up to Seif Tet, the ninth halakha mentioned in the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch mentions over here a three-way machloket in the, not machloket, but three-way customs as far as when it comes to eating meat and drinking wine during these days, during the weeks and of the Tisha Be'av falls out and on. It says the first minhag the Shulchan Aruch mentions over here, he says that people have a custom not to eat meat and not to drink wine during the week of that Tisha Be'av falls out. That's number one. It says this week only. Some have they add on from Rosh Chodesh all the way to the Ta'anit, and that's pretty much what we are accustomed to do. We do not eat on Rosh Chodesh itself also. It starts as soon as the Kahal, the communities out there, they pray the first Arvit, which means Tzedek Kochavim, the 3 stars come out. Then from that moment on, there's no more basar, no more yain, which is this Thursday, coming up Thursday night, we will go ahead and restrain ourselves from eating meat and having wine. There are some Sfaradim who have a custom to go ahead and to be lenient in going ahead and say that Rosh Chodesh is fine. We don't have such a minhag. We follow the Shulchan Aruch for the second opinion. Next minhag he mentions over here. The next minhag he mentions over here that they have a custom not to eat 3 weeks from Yudzayin Bet. That was 22 days in total. They do not, from Yudzayin Bet Usanan, they do not eat any meat and they do not drink wine. We don't have such a minhag. Some people are machmir that they go ahead and they do that. We don't have such a custom, especially today that we are very weak and we don't have the koach for these things, and it's very difficult to hold on, not to eat meat as it is. All our food is not the food that we used to eat at one point in our lifetimes, and everything is just coming as plastic, right? And just go to the marketplace, you'll see what the food looks like. You don't want to even buy anything. You try to select the best you can. Used to be not like that at all. Now, if somebody does not feel very well and feels very weak, especially those women who are nursing and those women who are pregnant, and you see that they are, as they say in Yiddish, platzing, they're falling apart, and they don't have the koach to hold on, and they feel very weak, they should call the rabbi, and the rabbi will probably tell them that they are allowed to have whatever they need in order to sustain themselves, in order to have enough koach to go on throughout the day, especially if they have little kids, something that we do not really, men don't really take so much responsibility for. The next halakha, the Rama mentions over here that from Rosh Chodesh until Tisha Be'av, they don't do any shchita. They put away the sakin shel shchita, they put it aside, they don't slaughter. This is the minhag of Rama. I do not know what the Sfaradim hold as far as that, but as the Rama does mention over here that there is tzorach mitzvah, which, for example, let's say there's a brit falls out during the brit to do between the 9 days, pidyon haben to do during 9 days, sudat elusin, sudat siyum masechet, whichever sudat mitzvah that it is a sudat mitzvah for sure. At that point, you're going to have to take out the knife and slaughter. Another time will be, let's say, Tisha Be'av falls out on Thursday, right? And if you don't slaughter on Thursday, you're not going to have anything to eat before Shabbat. After Chatzot Yom, they say you're allowed to be lenient. The same thing is for any other case. Let's say you have a chole, somebody is not feeling well, and he needs fresh meat to be slaughtered. So after Chatzot Yom and on, you slaughter, but you have to use your common sense, right? Use the noodles. If you see that he's gonna till Chatzot Yom, he's gonna collapse, you're gonna have to call already the Chevra Kadisha, right? Don't do that to him. He needs fresh meat. You slaughter fresh meat for him. 24 hours. Pikuach nefesh doche et Torah. V'pogeh for sure minhagim. Another halakha, as far as the Seif Yud, he says like this: there are some that say that there's a custom not to eat those that say you're not allowed to eat meat. Meat means red meat, right? Veal, cow's meat, goat's meat, very dry. Don't try it. Lamb, very good meat, right? And you have some deer, only if it's grown in the backyard, to slaughter it and eat it. But if it's running in the wild, don't bother. You're going to be chewing away for a long time. It's like worse than gum. But anyways, it says over here that there's a cut that it says all those who are, some have this, some that there are that say. And I remember my father used to tell me this, that I used to look at him and think, what are you talking about? He says what they would do is they would go ahead, they would make tafshil shel basar. They would throw meat into the pot, cook the food, eat the food, but leave the meat out. I remember my father said to me that my grandfather Shalom used to go ahead, they used to take instead of taking a whole big chicken, big fat chicken, they used to take a pigeon. Very delicious meat, right? Take a pigeon, slaughter it, and cook it. After you came out kosher, they would throw it inside. Over here, pigeons grow free on the street, right? You can get them easy. So, they would slaughter it, and they would go ahead, they would eat the food, and and they would go ahead and they would give the pigeon's meat to the little children to eat, so that would be not. By the way, all these things that we say that we have mahmir, chumrot, right, minagim, it's only for those people who understand what the customs are, understand that there's a concept of not eating. All those who do not understand, like little children, do not allowed to be mahmir, you give them food, they're supposed to eat.
What if a 9-year-old child understands? Do we still?
And you could still have to put them on the scale and evaluate him. To go to a doctor, see if he's see how much he weighs. But okay, let's go further. You have to see how much. You don't want the child to collapse. Chas v'shalom. You pay the price at the end. Chas v'shalom. Okay, let's go further.
Also has good on
Eggs? Yeah, sure. Okay, let's go further. Not in my school. In my school, I remember when we looked at meat. For some reason, we became all revived. But we look at the eggs, we said, no, okay, breakfast. Let's go further. Let's go on. Now, there is also a concept over here that they say that when they said that wine is prohibited, not allowed to have any wine, specifically talking about wine, and the wine it says over here specifically only those yain shel reshut, the regular wine. Let's say you're sitting and you're eating, and you want to take a little sip while you eat. So it doesn't really go that well with milk, I think. With meat, it goes much better. But anyways, if you drink one, it says that will be prohibited. But when you have yain shel avdala, yain shel birkat hamazon, yain shel pidyon haben, they take a cup of wine. There it's a shal mitzvah. It is a mitzvah, right? Associated with the mitzvah. You're supposed to do it. The Rama mentions over here that you're supposed to be machmir and not to drink wine by avdala, not drink wine by birkat, give it to a little child. If there's no child, then you could do it yourself. But even then, they say you should have. All these things he says with Tzimtzum doesn't apply really to us. The next thing he says over here is as follows. It says if you have Sudat Siyum or Sudat Elusin, big engagement party, you're allowed to eat meat, you're allowed to drink wine, but of course, obviously, all those who participate in the Suda only. You can't say, you know what, I don't know who these people are, but it looks good, right? The meat looks excellent. So you go ahead and sit down. He says not to do that at all. He says, next thing he says over here that he goes ahead and says, one second. He's supposed to have only a minyan mitzumtzam, get only 10 people to be involved in the Suda, like they do today by many weddings. They went ahead and they eliminated all their expenses. They make only 10 people sit down and eat the meal just to be Misaveh Chatam V'Kara, and everybody else just comes to dance and have a little kugel and some, soda on the side.
Weddings actually in the
Huh?
Rabbi. Anybody actually does weddings on these days?
No, weddings we don't do. Doing this I know that Bukharis for some reason they don't do by 3 weeks. We know Shulchan Aruch says only a custom that you don't do it on Shavua Shechal Bo'ena. Not even Rosh Chodesh. It does not say Rosh Chodesh. Because it's a mitzvah. It's a Sudat mitzvah. Why should you be? They say we not to get married. Mematim b'simcha mishnichnas av mematim b'simcha. And he says over here that I think you're right. No, he says you're not supposed to do anything that pertains to weddings. He's not supposed to do it. Maybe you have a point, but Elusin, engagement party suda, you want to do it. Why? Because if you don't do it, then they're gonna say, "What? I want to make a party? Not getting married." Let's go further. It goes that fast. Now, Nada Halakha Shulchan Aruch says very, very sharp statement about it. He says, all those people who go ahead and they are lenient, they go ahead and they break the custom of, and they go ahead and they eat meat, they couldn't care less, and they drink whatever wine and whatever. So he says straightforward, all those people who do that, he says, you should know he's poretz gedel, he's breaching a fence, v'nashchenu nachash, and he says, don't get surprised if a snake will come and actually give you a snake bite. It's very dangerous. Please watch out. Don't mess around. Another thing he mentions over here that we said the alcoholic beverages are allowed. Only wine is prohibited. But he says even that when you drink beer or you drink any other alcoholic beverage, please make sure you do it with tzimtzum. Don't overdo on the thing, right? Now, as far as getting haircuts, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will talk about this next time. Hanania went to work.